It just does so much damage to everything. Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Pheromosa UBO2 Beauty. So this Pokemon is going to be a bug fighting typing, which is a really interesting typing, so let's go and explore what is going on right here. Wow, that is a 4x weakness to flying. Also, just tons of weaknesses all over the place. Fire, Psychic, Fairy, Gale Wings just wrecks us. Everything is just going to absolutely wreck us with this typing. And I don't even think we really need to worry about our resistances or anything like that, because when we look at Pheromosa's stats, yeah, I'm going a little bit out of order today because I need to prove a point. We aren't surviving anything, so at least if we're having like a weak defensive typing, it's on a Pokemon like this. 71 hit points, 37 defense or special defense. That no matter what we do, everything just knocks us out. It doesn't matter if it's 4x, 2x super effective, or even just a pretty decent normal hit with like Life Orb or something. The opponent Pokemon is going to ruin us. Also, looking at that stat distribution, oh my goodness, this Pokemon is unpredictable. 137 on the attack, 137 on the special attack, so that is some damage right there, and a 151 on the speed. So this Pokemon, okay, this is the greatest example of a glass cannon sweeper Pokemon that can exist in Pokemon. Like, the Ultra Beast stat distribution, I think this shows it at its finest. That we have nothing in defenses, and then we have way overtuned offensive stats. So things are about to get interesting. Also, speaking offensively, how are we going to do with our bug fighting for stab and just dual typing and stuff? It's really awkward that we have a lot of super effective hits. We're also resisted by a lot at the same time, so our coverage isn't going to be that perfect, which actually shows like an interesting level of balance. That the stats are crazy, but our move set and move pool is going to kind of limit us, but at the same time, we can still work our way around it. So let's go and hop over to Cerebi and take a look at Pheromosa's actual move pool. So we get a lot of interesting things. Hey, look at that, there's a Quiver Dance. We already get to boost our special attack, which is 137. Nice. Then we can get to see some other things like, oh, we also get the high jump kick on a 137 attack. That's ridiculous. And then that's kind of where the highlight reel ends. That we get some physical attack, like it's bug fighting coverage and then a poison jab. Or we get bug coverage for special and then an ice beam. Now, technically we get the Focus Blast, but I don't think Focus Blast is that reliable of a move. Like, it's insane base power. Like, if you're throwing out a 137 special attack stab Life Orb Focus Blast, nothing survives that. You don't even need the +1 on the Quiver Dance because it is insane amounts of damage, but 70% accuracy, which means you have a 30% chance to die. I'm just going to cut it right there. Like, you know, it's a 30% chance because after you miss, you're getting hit, and then it's over for your Pheromosa. So yeah, and then the rest of the coverage, like, if this Pokemon, like, the biggest, most interesting thing is going to be what happens with a sequel version, what happens with future generations. If they allow the use of Ultra Beasts, what's going to happen? Because if we get move tutors in this Pokemon, then the coverage, then things are going to start getting pretty crazy, but at this time, not really too much else is going. Also, Taunt might work depending on what you're going up against, but for the most part, it's just going to be use Stab, primarily Bug, High Jump Kick is broken, and then also we have the Lunge. So Lunge is ridiculous. Like, Lunge is ridiculous on any Pokemon, but I don't think it really matters on the Pheromosa because it takes 2 turns to amp up. Like, you can still use it. 80 base power offensive move, yeah, that's going to synergize pretty well, but it lowers the target's attack stat. I mean, does that really change anything? Like, the opponent, even with a -1 attack, they're hitting you. So if you're already getting outsped by a Scarf Pokemon and Lunge becomes a 2-hit KO, I'm just saying that Lunge is good, but while this effect is amazing on any other Pokemon, I don't think we're going to feel it as much on the Pheromosa, even though it still might happen. Like, there might be those really weird damage rolls on like a resisted hit or something to where the Lunge will save us and then we can do something off of that. So it can work, but we're running Lunge anyway, so just kind of showing some of the interesting things that can happen with that. So hopping over to Pokemon Showdown, Pheromosa, I'm just looking at some of the moves right here. So the moveset going to be High Jump Kick, Lunge, Poison Jab, and then whatever other tech move you want for the physical set. Now, I'm also thinking Adamant Nature on the physical set. Here's, just like with Nil Ego, oh my goodness, guys, the Beast Boost just works. We have a 151 speed, so we have an insane amount of speed, and it's such an insane amount of speed, we can go with an Adamant Nature. So we go with an offensive nature, still outspeed everything, and then we also get to synergize it with our Beast Boost. That these numbers were deliberate by Game Freak. That when you max it out, Beast Boost will boost your offensive stat, because Beast Boosting your speed doesn't matter. If you're outspeeding everything, and you're not getting any stronger. Well, that's kind of lame right there. So, Life Orb, kill everything. And then going back to the me first. So I'm just thinking this works. Like I said, our coverage isn't fantastic. So if you can see that they're going to throw out something like a rock-type Pokemon using Earthquake, like, yeah, just me first that instead. It gains power. It gets stabbed. So to make up for our stab, we can just steal an opponent's move, and that'll be pretty good. Dragon-type Pokemon. They're going for the Dragon Claw. You can just go and swipe that. And I'm even wondering, like, maybe Modest, actually now that I'm thinking about it, Adamant Nature, no, don't do that. Look for a nature that drops something else, like Lonely. You know, if you drop the defense, if you drop the special defense, that nature is going to be pretty good as well. Also, since this is a soft reset Pokemon, and then you're also going to want Naughty. Any of these could work, because now that I'm thinking about it, you could even, like, me first a Draco Meteor. You could me first a crazy special attack, and then still be able to take out the opposing Pokemon, because without any investment, that's a lot of damage right there, and it might even open up for some, like, mixed opportunities on the Pheromosa, but I feel like just committing to your strongest stat could be a very good option, but if you're running mixed, it's not going to be as get up and go. So, Pheromosa, you can just bring it in. You could lead with it, you bring it on anything, and then you just murder your entire opponent's team, and then you just scale infinitely with the Beast Boost. Now, if you want to save it for the late game, then that's where we can start cutting stats right here, and then going into a higher special attack, and then maybe running some kind of other mixed stat. But at the same time, we do get Quiver Dance, so we'll talk about the Quiver Dance in a second. So I don't think, like, you need to worry about mixed, but the me first into mixed options might actually find you enough damage to make up for it, because even then, me first, plus 50% of damage, so that's going to boost our special attack damage over our attack damage, and then if it's a high base power move, it's the same as though we were using Lunge, high jump kick, and finding the KO that way. Anyways, especially if we're trying to steal a super effective hit. Like, I think Dragon-type Pokemon are going to be the most susceptible to that me first, and that could get pretty scary. But then, like I said, we could still cut off some attack stats, get into the special attack, and just guarantee those situations. But it means we can't come in on everything. Also, actually, never mind, we can't do that, because if we do that, then we lose our Beast Boost. So, maybe if you want, like, the most precise, slightly optimized Pheromosa, we can go with something like this. Now, Pheromosa also has one pretty interesting weakness: 135 base speed Pokemon or higher. So lower speed Scarf Pokemon or anything over that 135 speed, because we're running that Beast Boost. We're going for the strongest Pokemon possible, and that ends at about the 135 right there. So just a little bit of heads up on what to be aware of. But we can also look at something else that's really interesting, because Aerodactyl, that is a 130 base speed Pokemon. So also, since we're playing on the battle spot, assuming that, and just regular level 50 battles and stuff, we can see that maybe there's going to be a different range right here. So 200 on the speed is what we need to outspeed. So if we actually want to cut our stats down to 201, put the rest in the special attack, then we can cut it down further to the 202, put that in a special attack. This is potentially the most optimized me first, maybe mixed Pheromosa that you can bring. Actually, we can take the 4 points off of the hit points as well. Boom! That is going to be the most optimized, whatever I just said a couple seconds ago, leading to some really interesting scenarios, because we have to make sure we capitalize on the Beast Boost. We're not outspeeding 135 base speed Pokemon, only 130 is to worry about, so that's kind of where this caps out right there. Unless we get into another really weird scenario, because Ash Greninja is a thing, and other Pheromosa are a thing. So you can run this if you just want to run it, worry about like 130 base speed, or you could not be silly and just go 252, 252, 4, or whatever other thing I had, to where you can cut down the stats like this, run the rest right here, and that could be the safer Pheromosa, just to make sure that you don't have to worry about some of the other Pokemon that you might encounter. Now, Special Pheromosa. It gets Ice Beam. Like, that's pretty awesome right there. It gets the Ice Beam, so you really don't have to worry about too much. Then we also have the Focus Blast, but Focus Blast, like I said, you can put in the me first here, or you could also run something else like a Quick Guard. You can put Taunt. You can put some supportive moves if you want to as well, because you have Focus Sash. If the opponent leads with a Fake Out, you need to Quick Guard that Fake Out to keep your Focus Sash alive, or else you're just going to eat Fake Out damage, and then a Gentle Breeze will be able to knock you out from there. So I'm feeling that Bug Buzz is going to do enough work. That you set up your Quiver Dance, Focus Sash procs. If they're going for setup, great. Now you have a Focus Sash Pheromosa, and everything's going to be unstoppable from there. Effectively the same thing. We have more special attack. Our speed is going to be good. We run out the damage. We can also drop this down to level 50 so you don't get too confused as well. And it's going to be the same thing, except we +1, and then we sweep everything with the Bug Buzz. And then we just have Ice Beam for like flying coverage and junk. Still very susceptible to fire type Pokemon, so our coverage is going to hinder us here. However, depending on how the opponent's playing, if you can remove Stealth Rocks and then bring in Pheromosa to keep the Focus Sash alive, that could work for later on in the game. It's a lot more gambly, but just kind of acknowledging, hey, this thing gets Quiver Dance, you might want to use it just in case, but I feel like the physical set is still going to be better, even though we have Ice Beam, even though we're not going to be making contact with these moves. Me First, other things like that. Then we have the Quick Guard, Speed Swap, U-Turn, and I forgot to add the Taunt. So, other moves that you can use, this is not a move set by any means, but kind of adding things to your set. That Speed Swap, if you're running like a Sacrifice Pheromosa in double battles, you can give any Pokemon on your team a 151 speed. That could be cool. And if somehow Pheromosa stays alive, you can switch that slower speed into one of your opponent's Pokemon, try to shut them down like that. We have Quick Guard, U-Turn as an offensive option over Lunge if you want to use it. I don't recommend it. I'm against like Volt Switch and U-Turn for the most part. A lot of people just slap it into movesets, so if you see that on a moveset, just don't acknowledge it. Because if you have a Beast Boost, why are you going for your only stab bug type move to switch you out and give up all that momentum that you just had? And then Taunt. Like I said, if you want to run it in the extra move slot, you can run Taunt over Me First, you can run Quick Guard over Me First, you can do whatever you want over the Me First if you feel that way, and then what I just described with the Quiver Dance. Already a technical Pokemon, now let's get even crazier with it, looking at some damage calcs for the Pheromosa. So I was just kind of seeing how much damage we could get out of the high jump kick. Neutral, high jump kick into the Komodo, that's going to be a really beefy Pokemon. 125 on the fence, 75 on the hit points, and our high jump kick one-hit KOs. What else do you need to know? Like, that's kind of it. Like, it just shows we're doing insane amounts of damage. I also wanted to compare that to the Mega Medicham. So Mega Medicham, pure power, 100 attack. Sometimes you see Adamant, sometimes, for the most part, you're going to see Jolly, and it does about 10% more damage. So if you guys have been running a Mega Medicham for a really long time, you might understand how much damage this Pokemon is going to be capable of putting out. Also, I wanted to make the switch over to the Lopunny. So let's go and make this a Mega Lopunny by adding the Fighting. And sometimes you see Adamant, other times you'll see Jolly. So we can go with something like that. So I Jump Kick, 136 on the attack, no item. Something like that. So Mega Lopunny's high jump kick is a pretty formidable attack, but without any item boosting. Yeah, actually, also we can just compare it directly right there. 136 on the attack compared to 137 on the attack, effectively doing the same thing. Life Orb is going to make the difference. So if you've played a lot of Mega Lopunny, you might understand what doesn't work with Mega Lopunny, just high jump kicking something. And also a lot of the really safe to high end KOs on the Mega Medicham will work on the Pheromosa. So it's like, yeah, it's a okay. So, Mega Medicham mixed with Mega Lopunny, that's pretty much how you run the Pheromosa at the end of the day. So you get more damage, you get crazy speed, and then things happen. So I was also trying to look at like what else we could get out of it. Adamant, Life Orb, Poison Jab, that's enough to one-hit KO a full hit point invested Sylveon. If it's, say, a max speed Scarf Sylveon, I think they exist, I'm not really too sure. But if you see one of those, you'll still outspeed it, and then you'll definitely one-shot it on the Poison Jab. So depending on how much defensive investment might change that, and then the Hyper Voice will wreck you. But overall, it shows you're pretty safe, and then if you have the +1 from a Beast Boost already, like, it just shows Pheromosa comes in on so many things, and it can just do really well. I was looking into Lunge damage, so a +1 Lunge is still a lot. So I brought the Psychic Oricorio, that way we're doing neutral damage right here. So against a 75 hit point, 75 defense Pokemon, our +1 Lunge is still looking really good. Our +0 Lunge, it's close. If you had Stealth Rocks up, you might be able to find some KOs behind that. So it shows, yeah, the Lunge, in those weird attack scenarios, you're not going to score one-hit KO, so it might apply with the attack drop, but it might not really, so who knows with that. And in the end of the day, if you already have a +1 or weakened foes, then the Lunge will be something to use. Other than that, you just need a high jump kick. Lead it with a high jump kick, make sure the high jump kick KOs, and then you win. And then Lunge starts one-hit KOing things. Then we'll take a look at the special side of things. Quiver Dance is weird. Quiver Dance is weird. Now, I know that against the Garchomp, you're just going to go straight up Ice Beam it and murder it just like that. So we already know that that's a guaranteed win against the Garchomp. But I was using it as an example for a higher end special defense Pokemon. As you can see right here, 108 on the hit points, 180 and 85 on the special defense. It puts us in a really awkward spot because that's not going to be enough for the Bug Buzz to KO at a +1 because we're giving up the Life Orb for the just security of that Focus Sash, which means, like, yeah, I guess in that situation, if you had the Focus Blast is going to be enough to find the KO. So it's weird. You need to lead off with a really strong hit to make sure you get your beast boost going. Then you can rely on the bug buzzes. Also depends on how many bug buzz you get into with that Quiver Dance. And even if we drop it down, let's take an 80-80 Pokemon. That's going to get closer on the bug buzz. 80-75 will pretty much, or actually 80-80 right there will do it. And then like 80-85 is the kind of clutch one. So there we go, guys. A really in-depth look at Pheromosa because this Pokemon's going to tear it up. In singles mostly, like when I do my guides, I talk about singles. For doubles, tough call because it's going to outspeed, it's going to get KO, and then it's going to die. So you can kind of see it like a Final Gambit Pokemon. It murders something, something else gets murdered in return, and that's a GG. But it does eat up both of your opponent's Pokemon. That the one that you KO, well, you outspeed them and they don't get to act for that turn anyways. And then the one that KOs you, well, now you have a free turn of setup. So you can maybe just throw out the Pheromosa as a 1-for-1 plus threat. So now it's going to be a 3v3. You have advantage from whatever other thing that Pokemon's doing. Maybe have it set up a Trick Room and then transition to a slower pace battle. You know, there's a lot of things that go wrong, like Fake Out and Trick Room Pokemon or Taunt or whatever. I'm just giving you ideas. Some kind of weather setup, some kind of terrain setup, some kind of other setup that you use that Pokemon only to give yourself an advantage. Understand the Pheromosa is going down, because if your opponent doesn't take out the Pheromosa, well, then it takes out the next Pokemon you have. It takes out the next Pokemon they have. It's just going to murder everything like that. So Pheromosa actually looks really terrifying in doubles as well. Even though it doesn't seem that way, it just turns into a 3v3 ridiculousness. So that's kind of it. Maybe even Z-move, honestly. Maybe even Z-move on the Pheromosa in double battles, because that way you're just going to crush everything. Even if they go for a Protect, you're doing insane amounts of damage. Even if you're just like finding bypasses and stuff, you get to play a little bit of safety. Because if you high jump kick into a Protect, then your entire strategy goes away. Now it's a 3v4, and you didn't get much done. So, a lot of things going on with Pheromosa. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.